Kia ora tātou. It's really fantastic to be here, and I guess to follow on from those interesting talks around technology and Cape City and projects here. So today, just going to give you a bit of an overview of Trap.NZ. Just show of hands in terms of anyone that's been using it to some degree. So there's a number of people that have, cool. So what I wanted to talk about is just a quick overview of Trap.NZ, and then talk about announce, I guess today, a collaborative that's just been established in terms of the long-term support and development of Trap.NZ, which I think will be a really useful going into the future, and then also just talking about some of the management implications of data systems like this. So, as a data management system, it's spread very widely. So we now have close to 700 projects around the country that are using it, and a lot of the larger projects using it, as we've said, Cape City using it, but Kiwi Coast and Northland, a range of larger projects, right down to sort of small projects of a few users as well. So a big range. So it encompasses it's got both trap and bait station records in it. I guess the focus in terms of what people have been using to date has been predominantly around the trapping side of it and the trap data, but it does have full bait station record system in there in terms of being able to monitor bait usage over time and those sorts of things as well. And another feature of it is that it's fully integrated between a mobile app where you can capture data, display data, and the web-based display and analysis of that. So it's got those full parts together. And what it was, it's established with some initial support based on some work that we at Groundtruth had already done. And I must really like to acknowledge our team, particularly Daniel Bar-Even. Some of you may have had some contact with him if you're using the system. And Scott and Logan and Jonathan, our programmers that have been working on this other system. So they're the ones that have built it. And then with some early support from WWF as well. So a few kind of features about it. An important aspect of it is that it's browser-based, so you don't have to download any software. It doesn't require any software to be operating on your machine. It has Apple and Android apps. And I guess a key feature of it is it's built on open source software, so there's not licensing fees for that software, so it gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of what we can do in terms of building and modifying it over time, that sort of thing. And another thing that people often ask about too is that it's also deliberately created so that it's very compatible with, if you want to shift data to your GIS or if you want to integrate it with other systems, it's basically able to do that. Just wanted to make this point in terms of the system, which is actually quite important, is that really, if you think about it, it's got sort of three components to it, and they are it has quite sophisticated user management and content management, so it means that we can structure users with different levels of access to different things, so someone who's managing a whole project can have a lot of access to be able to change things around and edit things. Someone that's just servicing traps, for example, can have a certain level of access, and then someone that you just want to have a look at your project can have different levels. So we can alter all those things. And then it has a mapping and spatial component, like a sort of effectively an online GIS. And then it has a database that can have basically anything in it, from text to numbers to images to video to all that sort of thing. So that structure means that we've got heaps of flexibility in terms of how we can develop this system over time and build new modules into it. So it's deliberately, we've got a long experience, I guess, in this field, and I guess we often feel that sometimes with the technology, people have gone down they've built the technology from starting from their GIS system or whatever, so it's ended up being sort of overcomplicated, so we've wanted to come around and understand what's needed and then build it that way. So just flicking through it, and the sort of broad structure, and I've got a table in the where you have your food. So if you want to catch up with them at lunchtime and have a bit of a look, that'll be good. So it has a projects side to it, which I'll just go back. So basically you set up a project and your operations with that. And within that project, you can control who has access to that data and who uses it. Then there's traps or bait stations, which you can add either from the website or from the app, from your GPS on your phone in the field directly. Then you provide, onto those you add trapping records. So each trap that's set up then has a whole series of trapping records. And you can put those in again. There's a simple system to put multiple records in from the website, or you can do it direct from your phone as you're walking around in the field. And that's what you might have seen those shots that Pori had of Cape to City. Use it on a tablet in there, side by sides. And then there's a whole range of interactive reports. Because it has that module of the mapping and it has the database, we can basically generate instant reports for you. So you can run a report of, show me a map of where I caught all the stoats over the last 2 months, or show me where I caught the stoats on this particular lure. So you can do that instantly. You can just run those filters and see those sort of results, which people really like. The radio monitored trap side of things, what we see Trap.NZ as basically being a open to all comers framework in terms of radio trapping systems feeding into it. So we're likely to end up providing an API for people that know that sort of language, which then means people with trapping systems, radio trapping systems, will be able to link in. So we've done a successful trial with EcoNode, and there was some discussion before about live capture traps. That might be something we move on to in the future, but it's got the capability to do that. So it'll provide you all the data in terms of what the status of your trap is, what the battery's like, notify you by text or email or whatever when it's sprung. So all of that can be incorporated within Trap.NZ. We're also within an urban setting. There's a lot of interest around a very cut down, simplified version where I can just get my phone and go look in the backyard and look at my trap and say, yes, I've got a rat. So we're providing right now a very simplified form for that sort of big urban engagement around trapping. An important thing that I'm really pleased to be able to talk about today is that we've been working across a number of partner organisations in terms of looking at how we ensure the long-term development and maintenance of Trap.NZ, because we see as a company, we see it as it's a public good thing. We'd like to basically move it into a space where it's got that long-term public good aspect is maintained, and that it continues to be a free service for people that use it. So, and we think, because we feel it really can provide a big step change in terms of coordination of predator control, which is required under the mission that we all have around sort of predator-free approaches. So in terms of that collaborative, some of the sort of, I guess, fundamental principles of that are that what we're wanting to do is to get a range of supporting organisations together around sharing the costs and speeding that development of innovative new features that the system can provide. We're also wanting to get a greater connection between those user organisations and sort of prioritising that development work. So this collaborative allows us to do that. And another really important side of it is fostering what we call a data commons approach, so that the speakers you had earlier from Landcare talking about opportunities in terms of optimising trapping networks and those sorts of things. The data that's coming out of these big trapping networks in terms of what traps are catching in what areas, all those sorts of things, we can learn heaps from that, and we can also use that to enhance the efficiency of trapping networks. So what we're working towards is a data commons approach where people putting data in have control of that data and can, in terms of privacy and those sorts of things, but we create a sort of a shared resource for research and development. So that's something that's, I guess, fundamental to this collaborative, that we're working on the details of how we do that. And in terms of the collaborative as well, there's we want to foster that opportunity to add value to what we're doing and to kind of innovate around that. And also, I guess, another key aspect is setting up good governance and a business approach around how that functions. So the collaborative is now, pleased to say, is actually now in place. So we've got these 5 initial members. So Hawke's Bay Regional Council, Predator Free Wellington, Taranaki Maunga, Northland Regional Council and Project Yanzoon, providing direct support to the collaborative and will be early members. But of course, what I'm really keen to promote, and anyone who's interested, come and have a talk to me, is we're basically looking to work with all the agencies, councils, central government, in terms of membership and support to this collaborative, because it really does seem that we're at a crucial point where really working hard on providing these frameworks for collaboration and getting them working well is going to be what allows us to go forward. So very keen to talk about that. So just, I guess, Campbell mentioned about some comments in terms of the management implications of this. So we've got the system, we've got enhancements and refinements to do, but it's been well proven. Cape City have been using it for over a year, so it's, we sort of know where it sits. But some of the things that are potential in terms of implications for management is that, one, obviously it can provide this real joined up approach across multiple landscapes. If we're using a consistent system and people are basically able to view across that whole landscape and look at relationships between projects, then it's going to allow us to kind of really move that whole thing forward in terms of consistent, coordinated control. So again, that shared and consistent system, I mean, that's about achieving that. So the other thing, as I mentioned before, is this data commons idea in terms of creating this research resource that allows scientists and others to basically be able to utilise that data in a way that's safe for the people that put it in there, in some summarised or controlled way, but that basically can really can generate a lot of opportunities in terms of learning and improving how we undertake pest control. And I think another important implication is in terms of engaging people and helping to sort of galvanise action. People can visualise instantly what's happening with control day to day, what's happening across the whole landscape in terms of what areas are covered, what levels of trapping are in different areas, all those sorts of things really can make the whole predator-free approach come alive, and I think really engage and motivate people. And the other thing, as I mentioned earlier on, in terms of the way that the structure of Trap.NZ and those modules that it's got, it has, through the user management and content management, it has opportunity to put in e-commerce aspects, all those sorts of things. So these sorts of ideas that Campbell was mentioning before about, someone investor/supporter in the US being able to wake up and check what's been happening across the trapping project that they support and see those sorts of things, then a system like this can deliver that. So yeah, I think it's a very exciting time in terms of where we've got, and I guess I'd also really like to thank the users of the system that have given all sorts of really valuable feedback around the development so far. So we're really looking forward to moving forward with the support of that collaborative and developing and enhancing the system further. I think that's me.
Do you see that data will be available to agencies and people running platforms like ArcGIS as a service, so that we'll be able to see live locations of traps and things like that. I'm just thinking that, like, great to have trapping data, but it'd be awesome to be able to integrate things like, I've got groups working with water quality and trapping and stuff like that, so it'd be great to be able to integrate all of that into one platform for them.
Yeah, I think there's certainly, I mean, there's because of the way the thing's structured, there's no technical barrier to that, I think, but I think there's a discussion there in terms of what the, I guess the people that create the data, in terms of what they're comfortable with. So I think that's more the discussion. There's certainly, there's no reason why that couldn't be done. It's quite possible, but I think it's just, so the stage we're at with that at the moment is basically working through what we see as the principles and a data agreement around that people use. But I think it's such an opportunity to get that right. And I think the other thing in terms of transformation and modelling the trapping, I mean, we have an opportunity to kind of develop a model around collaboration, because I think in terms of trapping data and the range of groups that are involved, it's a kind of a perfect place to start to see how we might get that to work.
Kia ora. There's, I think, 4 or 5 different sort of platforms around at the moment for this sort of information, but obviously, ideally, there should be one, perhaps nationally. Do you think that this one is going to get that market share and be it?
Well, I mean, I feel it has, basically. It's got to a point. We've been involved with the system for, I think it must be getting on for 5 years now, and there's been the ongoing discussion about the relationship to other platforms, but I think we've kind of got to a point, and we've gone along with that and said, well, yeah, just see what comes to the top. But I think we're at the point now where the level of usage of Trap.NZ has got to the point where let's kind of make that jump and achieve those gains by having one system that's very widely used. So I think we're at that point.